I didn't file my first claim for 30 years. So I had ETS'd out of the Air Force in 1989. I didn't file my tinnitus claim until 2019. So let's talk about why tinnitus is kind of a gateway claim for many veterans. So for my story, I didn't feel like I deserved anything. Felt like I wasn't a true veteran. So other veterans maybe deserved it more than I did. I didn't want to deal with the VA, that sort of thing. Next thing I know, 30 years has gone by. I didn't really have a whole lot of medical evidence. So how did I get into the VA system? Tinnitus is the most commonly service-connected disability. The thing about tinnitus is there's no test for it. There's no cure for it. You either have it or you don't. So what most vets don't know is just because you have tinnitus doesn't mean that you could win the claim. It depends a lot upon what your MOS was. The VA has a high probability, medium probability, and a low probability list. So chances are, if you have tinnitus, if you have the ringing in your ears, you file it, you win it, depending on your MOS. It's kind of a strategic claim. Once you break the ice at the VA, then other things become service-connected, or ability to be service-connected. It's probably the easiest claim for most vets to win. It's also a strategic claim. So once you get in, break the ice at the VA, now you're in, right? So now secondaries become a thing. For instance, migraines secondary to tinnitus. So you can have zero medical evidence, win the tinnitus claim, and then start working on your migraines claim. It takes time, but you're building it the right way. My migraines claim is the proof. I got service connected for tinnitus, zero medical evidence. It was all based off of my testimony and my MOS. So they send you for a BS audiology exam. You go, you see the audiologist, you put the headphones on like you were in the air, like when you're in the service, when I was in the Air Force, and then you raise your hand when you hear the beeps, right? That sort of thing. There's no test for tinnitus, so no medical evidence can be provided. There's no cure for tinnitus. Then I come back after I won the tinnitus claim. I got the medical evidence I needed to win the migraines claim because I had gone 30 years with just self-medicating. Excedrin, cold packs, go lay down in a dark room, go find a office someplace that's not being used and put my head on the desk. Those sorts of things for 30 years. Never at once thinking to talk to my doctor about my headaches claim or my headaches. Under the C.F.R. 38, subsection 4.87, Diagnostic Code 6260. Tinnitus is rated as a flat 10%. Doesn't matter if you have it in one ear, 2 ears, doesn't matter. Tinnitus is 10%. Maxes out at 10%. If you're pissed off because you only got 10% for tinnitus, you're maxed out. The rating is fixed whether you get it or not. The VA needs to see three things. Current diagnosis. So that's likely why they send you for the C&P exam, to actually diagnose you with tinnitus. So if you want to try to avoid the C&P exam, one thing you could do is go to an audiologist on your own. Have the hearing test done. Talk about tinnitus at the end. That'll go in your records. Or you can take that record or that note from that doctor visit and submit it with your claim at the VA. 2 is the in-service event. You've got to be exposed. Your MOS needs to be indicative of you being exposed to aircraft, jet engines, tank, heavy machinery, diesel engines, mortar, live gunfire. All these things on a pretty repetitive basis. And then 3rd is the Nexus. So we'll get into that in a later video, but Nexus is the service connection, or the connection between two things. That's what the word means. Nexus is a connection between two things. So when you're filing a claim at the VBA, they want to know how is your tinnitus connected to service. So often that's what a C&P exam can do for you. Usually they don't. It's up to the decision review officer or ratings review officer that's deciding your claim to determine if it's service connected or not. The key thing to note is a diagnosis is not a nexus. You need to have both to win the claim at the VA. Now, as of while I'm filming this, April of 2026, the VA has proposed ending the tinnitus as a standalone claim, meaning that future claims will only be rateable under comorbidity. So it'll be a symptom of hearing loss, or it'll be a symptom of TBI. So it won't be winnable on its own. The current rule is still in effect. So we don't know exactly when they're going to change this, but this is the proposal they're thinking of. So if you haven't filed your tinnitus claim, now's the time. It's never too late. We'll get into that in a later video too. But before they change these rules, you want to get grandfathered in. Because tinnitus has no objective test, your own statement carries real weight here. The VA cannot prove you have it. The VA can't prove you don't have it. So what you need in your statement. Here's what you need in your statement. When it started. Typically during service. Most of us in high school and immediately after or college don't have tinnitus. Sure, there's a lot of rock and roll concerts and all that, but you don't have tinnitus. Then you want to state what caused it. Jet engine exposure, sound exposure, not the actual jet engine exposure, sound exposure to jet engines, live gunfire with no ear pro, around tanks, mortars, live gunfire, IEDs, whatever the cause is, you need to indicate that in your statement. And then you want to talk about how it affects your daily life. You've got to have a fan on, even in the winter, in the bedroom. All right, so even when it's cold out, you've still got to have the noise, the white noise from that fan. Or if you're alone in the house, you've got to have a radio on because the silence of the house just drives you bonkers, right? So you've got to have a radio or TV on at all times. Or, you've learned lip reading because in a restaurant, the ringing in your ears distracts from the conversation you're having with your partners. These sorts of things are what you need to talk about, how your tinnitus affects you and your life. And this is a claim you can do right now for free. Doesn't cost you anything. Like I said, there's no medical evidence that can be provided, so there's no medical evidence needed. If you have ringing in your ears, you could file that claim today for free. Now, when you go for the C&P exam, the C&P examiner is going to ask you about your noise. Well, they may ask you about your noise exposure history. They want to know about hearing loss, deafness, those sorts of things. There's no test for tinnitus, so typically most audiologists are aware of tinnitus, but they can't test for it. It's kind of a frustrating topic for them. So when you get into noise exposure, you want to talk about the ringing in your ears. Okay? Be sure to keep bringing that up. If you're there for actual filing hearing loss, great. Talk about hearing loss too. If you're only filing tinnitus, they're going to send you for that audiology exam. You need to make sure everything comes back to the ringing in your ears, the reason you're there. These folks won't dig in your records for you. So you'll need to point out any kind of indication, if you have something in your STRs, your service treatment records, of what's going on or what happened. You need to talk about your MOS, your duty stations, all of these things contribute to the noise exposure factor that you're talking about or that you're claiming. And then the C&P examiner's opinion, whether or not this caused Nexus can play into it. So you want to make sure you capture that part. If you're trying to get your tinnitus claim right first time out the gate, I talk to veterans every day about this exact same situation. There's a link below. Check on that. I'll talk to you. As always, thanks for watching. Look for more of these